Hello there and welcome to our show. My name is Louis Wieland and I publish the official relocation guides on Atlanta that are distributed by the First Multiple Listing Service of Atlanta, which is the organization that hosts all the real estate for sale for the realtors. 47,000 realtors are members. And I publish 5 publications that are on that website for the benefit of realtors. And they can go on that site and find information and send it out to all their clients. And the First Multiple Listing Service is diversified now into a lot more areas of commercial real estate, including commercial rental space. And you have to be an agent to access that site. The magazines are on AtlantaCommunityProfiles.com and also on the Cobb RealtorsAssociation.com website. And today we're excited to once again welcome back to the show Jeff Moon, the city manager of the great city of Woodstock. Great
Thank you.
to have you back, Jeff. And I ran some numbers last night, and I knew that a lot of good things were happening there, but I didn't realize how fantastic your real estate market has grown and become unbelievable. Actually, the prices of a residential detached home in Woodstock is up almost 50% over the last 5 years. And now the price of residential homes for the metro area is up about 2% citywide. Sales are up about 3 or 4%. And but the city of Woodstock is beating the average, and basically a lot of exciting things that are happening. I walked around your downtown at that one of the concerts over there a couple of weeks ago, and was at a concert. And man, this city is lively. Boy, there's a lot of cool stuff going on. A lot of people walking around, a lot of restaurants, a lot of entertainment venues. Is that a particular goal, Jeff, or how is that played out for you?
Well, one of our major focuses is on the quality of life. And, when you walk downtown and you go downtown on a weekend or a night, you can almost feel it. It's just vibrant. And that is one of our goals, is to have a lot of options for folks, whether it's multiple dining options or live performance or trail systems that connect to downtown. We really spend a lot of time focusing on quality of life issues, and I think a lot of the success we have comes back to that. That's our focus.
Well, congratulations, by the way, on being named Money Magazine's 17th best places to live in the United States out of thousands and thousands of communities.
Thank you. We've made the list twice in the last 5 years, so we're humbled by that and honored, and think it's reflective of the success we've had and some of the real estate numbers you were just talking about are due to that.
Okay, your city is 30 miles north of Atlanta, by the way, 12 square miles and about 30,000 residents. And every time you turn around, you're getting another form of recognition from a different organization. And basically, I would like to go through some of the elements of the real estate market there, and also in general talk about COVID and how that's affected the city. But let's start with the residential market, since we can start on an extremely positive note. Why are the prices going up so much in Woodstock?
I think it's a multitude of answers to that question. I think the school system, consistently ranks in among the top school systems in the state. We consistently rank among the safest cities in the state. I think our focus on our outdoor amenities with our trail system and our parks are helpful. I think, of course, proximity to Atlanta, proximity to the mountains help. I think it's all those things factor into that and come into play.
The thing that's driving up prices in general throughout the metro area is lack of inventory. We have a month's supply of inventory. People are And one of the reasons the inventory is so limited is because people are reluctant to sell their house. And we have increasing demand. People are moving here from all around the world, and the people who are here don't want to leave. So we have a problem there. But the home builders are trying to help, but most of the home builders are operating at capacity levels. So are you doing anything there to develop new residential properties?
There are new commercial or residential developments that are already under construction or in the pipeline. For 2020, as of the taping of this show this morning, we've issued 373 new single-family permits in the city. That's the second highest number since 2007. We will easily pass 2020 with everything that's going on in the world with the pandemic. It will be our biggest year for single-family residential permits issued in the city since 2005, when the city ranked as one of the 5 fastest-growing cities in the United States. We will not pass that number from 2005, but it will be the busiest year since.
What about one of the things that's a problem for agents like myself is the hedge funds are coming in and buying up property left and right. Are you finding that to be the case? They're coming in and disrupting market supply and
We've
demand?
seen some of that, but not a great deal of that. And I'm familiar with what you're talking about. There may be a few cases of that, but we have not seen a lot of that here in Woodstock yet. Okay. Most of the new development are by builders and developers that are selling their own product. We haven't seen that really where a hedge fund comes in and gobbles up a lot of existing inventory for rental programs or resale or whatever. We haven't seen a lot of that here in Woodstock.
Mm-hmm. Stay tuned, it's coming. They're coming.
I have had conversations with my colleagues in other cities that are seeing that, and so I'm very familiar with it. It just hasn't hit us yet.
Mm-hmm. What does the economy real estate market look like with your forecast over the next 12 months or 18 months?
From talking with our local builders and developers that are working on the residential products, they're very bullish. Things are continuing on. We're seeing new applications, new subdivisions, which is kind of our canary in the coal mine, if you will. When things slow down, we stop seeing new applications. That hasn't happened yet. We're still seeing new applications come in. So we feel pretty good for 2021 from a development standpoint. We're also seeing some commercial development that's continued on, has not slowed down. The economy as a whole, I would say it's uneven. The recovery with COVID, we've still got, as everywhere else, there's some small businesses that are still hurting. Restaurants are still not back where they were. But from a tax collection standpoint, the big boxes are killing it. Be a record year for them. So it's a little uneven, but I don't think that's unique to just us.
Okay, so the elements of the real estate market are diversified and in many respects. Let's start with the multifamily, for example. What is the status of multifamily residential now, and what is the forecast?
So I think from talking to multifamily operators in town, they're very high occupancy rates. They have not seen a slowdown in that. We have 2 projects that have been entitled since the mid-2000s that are moving forward with development, and we have 1 new application for multifamily. So there's still, I think there's high demand and there's high interest in multifamily developers in adding product here in Woodstock. And so we're working through those applications now with council.
How would you characterize the current stock, in terms of A, B, C, or D in general?
I think most of the product that has been developed is newer in the last 10 years. There are some older complexes that are in town, some that have just gone through refurbishing. So I would say it's probably a mix of the categories you described.
Mm-hmm. Well, there are a lot of investors who are very anxious to invest in Woodstock, especially in multifamily. And currently, the biggest area of demand, and as I see it, is investing in C properties that can be easily fixed to B. Do you see developers coming to your door on that regularly?
We've had one recently that has gone through that process and refurbished all the units in the complex to raise it. Not as much of that here, and probably in part because a lot of it is newer stock already.
So, what about the retail? You mentioned it a little bit earlier, and some of the retail businesses have been hit pretty hard by COVID. How are you faring?
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it's somewhat hit or miss. It would be uneven also. We've in our downtown area, I think, have fared fairly well given the circumstances. Our outlet mall, the outlet shops of Atlanta has, I think, recovered nicely. They seem to be having good traffic at this point. And in other areas of town, as I mentioned, the chains and the bigger boxes seem to be doing very well. And it's uneven with small business. That's one of the things we've been working on is how to assist and a number of our small businesses that are especially in the retail world and restaurant world.
Speaking of restaurant world, we tried to place a restaurant over there at one point, and we're not able to get it. Somebody with deeper pockets came in, but I went over and looked at that restaurant a couple of weeks ago on a Saturday night, and it was booming. What is in general the situation with restaurants there?
Yeah, we've lost two chain restaurants that I'm aware of, and they're not even in our downtown. They were on our Highway 92 corridor. One has already been backfilled, one has not yet. But in our core downtown, for the 20 plus restaurants, it's improving. I would say it's not where it was at pre-pandemic level. We've had one new one that has delayed opening until a little later this year. But for the most part, and especially in our downtown area, we have not lost any of the restaurants, but they're not back to the pre-pandemic levels they were at.
And I would like to skip to the office market. There's been a lot of subleasing going on because of people working at their home and not needing the space. How would you characterize your office market?
We have not had any major changes in the office market. We haven't had anybody that has left. We've had some moving around. As you mentioned, relocation, people either downsizing or upsizing as they brought offices in from other areas. We've had a new co-work space open near our downtown area that's just opened in the last couple of months. So it's I'd say holding its own. It's not expanding, but we haven't seen any significant changes downward either.
One of the areas of real estate that's thriving is industrial. Is that a big factor in Woodstock?
It is not in the city itself, just because of limited land that's available. We have one industrial park that's in the city for heavy industrial. I know in surrounding communities and in unincorporated portions of the county surrounding Woodstock, there is a large industrial and warehousing component to the local economy that impacts us, but not within the city per se.
And what about warehousing? Is that a factor there? That's a booming industry.
It is on our Highway 92 corridor outside the city limits between 575 and Interstate 75. The county has seen a number of projects moving forward in that area. It's not exactly in the city limits, but it's a mile or two outside the city, so it has impact and opportunities for our residents, but not in the city itself.
Do you have any opportunity zones in Woodstock, and if so, how are they doing?
We do not. There is one in part of South Cherokee County that the county has, but there is not one in the city itself.
Mm-hmm. Is that a opportunity for the future or not?
We have tried. in the past years to do that, and we were not successful in getting one declared by the state, in part because of the success we've had and the need that they felt that should go to other areas that needed assistance more than we did in our community.
Mm-hmm. And
I tried to be very nice and polite in how I answered that question, but we were turned down.
Okay. But your city is booming, and basically the political answer is to be politically polite. Your city is booming, and those opportunities are maybe well served in other areas that are not as.
They are, and we do have some areas in town that we were going for that are ripe for redevelopment, older commercial areas that would be a good opportunity for someone to redevelop. And so we tried the opportunity zone route, that didn't work. So now we're looking at other options. Council just approved with a company to come in and do a study on creation of a community improvement district. There's not currently one in the Woodstock area, so we're looking at the options for helping to form that, and maybe that would be an impetus along with our own economic development office in accomplishing the same thing on some redevelopment projects that we couldn't get through opportunity zones.
Mm-hmm. So I guess we have to go to the unpleasant topic of COVID at this time, and we've been delaying it as long as we could. What is the city, how are you affected by COVID, just from a macro standpoint?
Yeah, it goes back to when I talked about the recovery. I think when I said it was uneven, I think the impacts were uneven as well. Meaning, I think small business was hit hard. Restaurants were hit hard, obviously. But some of the big box retailers will have record years this year. From grocery stores, home supplies, their sales, overall, our sales tax collections are up in 2020. But it's being driven by the big boxes, not so much for the small business. So, one of the things we've worked on is helping small business and restaurants. So in Woodstock, in the city of Woodstock, the business license, business occupation tax is based on gross receipts. So council, we modified our tables for the calculations on that for 2021. And so when a business renews at the end of 2020, if they had gross receipts under $1 million, they're going to pay zero to the city for business license. We're just going to give them a business license. We also have done some things, that's true for restaurants as well. Another sector that has been hit particularly hard, travel, our hotels. So we've applied the same formula to them. Basically, if they have a hotel in Woodstock, they're not going to have to pay anything for regulatory fees or business license to the city next year. And also for restaurants, fall under that same. If they're under $1 million, they're not going to have to pay anything. And in addition to that, we've also granted them, all restaurants, if they have a license for on-premise consumption, we're granting them at no charge a limited package license that allows them to sell bottles of wine or bottles of beer that are unopened. They're going to be able to sell those as the state allowed during the pandemic. We've modified our business license structure to allow them to do that going forward forevermore, or until the ordinance gets changed by council in the future. But they're not having to pay for that. We're just giving them that license as well. So we're trying to do some things that target the hotels, small businesses, and restaurants that have had the most impact in the community.
And a lot of cities are getting a lot of changes for zoning changes because of COVID and the dynamics of the different types of businesses. Is that a factor in Woodstock?
We really haven't seen anything. I think that COVID has driven a zoning request. We haven't seen that yet here, no.
Okay. So you have basically a city that represents a great, it is have great many or has a great many entertainment venues and points of interest, and one of which was I went to that Mad Life concert recently,
okay.
which was very, very good, very excellent. Like, well, and then out front they had a live music playing and people having dinner. And tell us a little bit about that category of business for the city.
Sure. From the private sector side, you hit it. Mad Life on stage and studios. I mean, it's everything from a recording studio to a restaurant to a live performance venue. They have nationally touring artists as well as local artists as well as cover bands. They have a good uh, consistent lineup that they present for live music venue in our community. We have a lot of other restaurants that just have on weekends. They'll have artists that are playing music in their venues. The two that areas where we are involved in live music. One, we own the Elm Street Event Green, which was right behind Mad Life. You may have seen when you were here.
Yes.
And lease it to the Elm Street Art Group, and they have a smaller scale lantern series where they have artists and concerts there multiple times during the course of the year. And we have the city owns and operates through our Parks and Recreation Department, our amphitheater in downtown, where we have a little bit larger artists as part of our summer concert series. So, unfortunately, 2020 is one of those years that this is the first year in the last 24 years, I think, that we have not had the summer concert series because they were postponed because of COVID. We were able to move everybody that was in the 2020 lineup forward to 2021, so we've already got those scheduled. Now, the amphitheater will seat 6,000 to 7,000 people, so this is a bigger events than the small intimate lantern series that Elm Street has. But I would say almost every weekend, except possibly during the dead of winter, you can come downtown and you can find live music somewhere in downtown at a restaurant, at Mad Life, Elm Street, or at the city's venue at our amphitheater.
What do you? You're getting a lot of publicity now, I guess, with this Money Magazine thing. Have you sat down and put some sharpen your pencil in terms of anticipated population growth, or what? How is this going to affect prices and growth of the population demand and for growth?
Yeah, I think for us in Cherokee County, we're looking at significant population growth over the coming years. Our current estimates, we don't have the census numbers back yet, but we anticipate we're going to be somewhere in the 36,000 range for the census. That'll be about an increase of 11,000 people in a 10-year period. So we anticipate that there'll be continued growth. We try to manage that growth so that we can maintain the quality of life and for our residents in the small town feel, especially in our core downtown area. I tell a lot of people working here, I've been here 12 and a half years now. It's like being city manager in Mayberry. You try and do the small town things to make everybody love downtown, love the community, enjoy the quality of life. But yet we're also able, as the growth occurs, to add amenities that you would see in a little bit bigger cities. And so that we it's a constant balance, and sometimes we get it better than others, but we try and strive real hard to balance the growth with maintaining the quality of life for our residents.
Jeff, that number you mentioned, 11,000, I think that represents about a 30% increase, correct?
Yeah, and so I keep a copy on my desk of the city's budget from 1968, and it was $7,000. There were less than 1,000 people in the community. Between 1990 and 2000, the population doubled in Woodstock. Between 2000 and 2010, it more than doubled, 114%. It will not double between 2010 and 2020, but it'll be a significant percentage increase that we'll see when the final numbers come in next year.
Probably at least 30%, right?
Yeah, we're guessing 30 to 40%
30
range.
to 40%, which is...
Yeah, that's what we're anticipating.
And how does that affect the resources of the city? Is that taxing the resources? Are you keeping up with that kind of growth? Is it challenging?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've done a really good job with our parks and trails. And in the last year, we bought almost 40 acres of property that we're just land banking for future park development. We have a new 100-acre park that's going through the master planning process right now. We're getting ready to add an additional fire station that helps keep up with the growth, and we spend almost every day working on road improvement projects to help handle traffic. So, it's a double-edged sword. The growth provides additional tax dollars and resources to help make the improvements, but the growth, drives the improvements as well, as far as the need to expand the infrastructure and city services and police officers and firefighters and everything that contributes to it being a safe community, livable community. It's all tied together and interrelated.
Well, infrastructure is a key element with that kind of growth, and I wish you well with terms of keeping up with that demand on that.
Now, we
And-
recently added an assistant city manager position that's assistant city manager for public works. And literally that's what he spends almost every day on, is some type of infrastructure project, either under construction or planning for the future. And that position is almost solely focused on services from an infrastructure standpoint in the community.
So, going forward, we have uncertainty seems to be the byword, and everybody, if you ask anybody, including our most knowledgeable economists, that's the key word that they throw out. But going forward, what are some of your goals and challenges that you face over the next couple of years that you're trying to address at this time?
Sure. Well, one we just briefly talked about, and that is, keeping up with the growth from an infrastructure standpoint, making sure that we have the police and fire and public safety resources necessary to serve the community. We're also focused on really expanding our trail system. We currently have a project underway that will connect our trail system through Cherokee County to the Cobb County trail system. That project's been funded by a grant. We're also looking at making connections to the Roswell trail system and the Milton trail system. So, we've had a lot of success with trails, and we'll keep working on that. We're also focused on our downtown area. We just closed on the property downtown where Morgan's Ace Hardware is located. They'll be relocating to another site shortly after the first of the year, and we'll be redeveloping that site in a public-private partnership. We have the same partner for that recently completed the project in downtown Alpharetta. So we're looking, our goal is to bring a hotel and some meeting space into our downtown area with a parking deck through a public-private partnership, and that will be a large part of the focus of my time in the coming 12 to 24 months is working on that project.
One of the things that everybody is talking about, or particularly the best economists, is the concept of pent-up demand for travel and dining out and consumption of what they call non-necessary consumables. What do you see in that area coming? Have you seen that? Have you feeling for that? Or how would you describe your paradigm?
Sure. We are seeing restaurants are recovering. They're not pre-pandemic levels. Hotels are making a comeback. They're not at the levels they were at pre-pandemic, but we kind of see monthly those through the hotel motel tax, that's increasing. So it appears more people are traveling. I think, honestly, we're well positioned for that with our hotels, given where our location is. Proximity to Atlanta, proximity to the mountains. I think if you were here, Lou, at Mad Life, you saw in downtown the number of people that are out and about in downtown, and I think that is a direct correlation to the pent-up demand of people ready to get outside. We see our parks and our trails, the numbers of people who are using them are significantly up. And I think that comes from people having been cooped up the last 6 months, and they want to get outside, enjoy the outdoors. They want to go to a park. So we're seeing significant increases in our users at those facilities. Where we haven't been able to provide services is in the area of large groups. So from a 4th of July parade that we had to cancel, we still had the fireworks shows so people could spread out where we have it. we had to push the concert series this year. But then we're trying to be creative too. So, the next big thing for us is a Christmas parade. And so we're going to do a reverse parade this year instead of canceling the parade. So basically, we're going to be partnering with one of the local high schools, and all the floats and entries that are in the parade will be stationary, and you'll drive through. So you'll drive through the parade. So the spectators will actually become the parade and driving through and looking, but they don't have to leave their cars. So we're trying to think out of the box and create some opportunity for people who do want to get out and about. But I think a lot of it will depend on the pandemic and how it goes. But we see a lot of people who are just being tired and cooped up, and they're ready to get out and about. And you can come downtown and you can see them, and you can feel their excitement of being outside and not being cooped up anymore and being able to do some things.
I definitely noticed the energy level there was very strong. And, I did also notice that there were an awful lot of individuals who are like probably in their 20s maybe, or 30s even. What is the age distribution of the city, and how's that impacting your growth?
So we're seeing that really the two areas that I would say are the highest growth areas for us are empty nesters, people who are selling their 3 and 4 bedroom homes that they raise their families in, and they want to move to the downtown area so they can walk to wherever it is they're going. And also property taxes are very favorable to people who are 62 years and older. And the other is other area of growth are those that are just married or just starting their families. And we see a lot of young families, young kids, and that's because of the trails and the outdoors and the school system. So really, while we're seeing growth in all areas, those are the two that we're seeing the biggest growth in.
And talk just briefly, we're almost out of time, but what about the school system? How's the Cherokee County is definitely recognized as having one of the best school systems in the city. In the state? How would you address that for your area?
It is. I mean, I moved here 12 and a half years ago because of the school system, because having 3 kids then in school, and my last one's a senior this year. So I put 3 kids through the Cherokee County school system. There are 2 public high schools that serve the city of Woodstock. There are 3 that serve greater Woodstock. We've been very pleased with them. There's also private options. There's a couple of Christian high schools that are located in greater Woodstock. So if you're looking at the public or private option, there are charter academy through the public school system. There's a lot of different options depending on what you're looking for, and I think that's driven a lot of the residential growth, especially among younger families, because if they want to go public, they want to go private, they want to go Christian, they want to go charter, they can live here and do it. So the school systems are consistently ranked among the top from test scores and all other analytics that you look at. So having safe community with schools has certainly been a driving force behind our growth.
Okay. It was fantastic to have you on the show again, Jeff, and congratulations.
I appreciate it. I enjoyed it. Always love getting to talk about Woodstock.
Congratulations on when you have such a great story to tell. It's particularly enjoyable, I know. So congratulations on your success, and keep the prices down a little bit. I mean, it's like your average is for a single family.
On that, Lou.
If the average is like $350 now, $348, so it's getting up there. But there's a reason, because people want to live there and they're willing to pay a little more for all the amenities that you guys are providing. So, and the high level of security which you offer there is also, we didn't mention, but that is a key factor, I think, in your success too. You're extremely safety oriented. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
And continued success. And,
thank you. We appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on the show again.
Anytime.
All right. Thank you for listening, and have a nice day.